Hello, this is Way Mountain. Can you hear me? Go first.
Yes.
Thank you. Chu Mountain and Chu Khan, can you hear us from Way Mountain?
Joe Kong, we can hear you, Way Mountain.
Thank you.
We can hear you to Way Mountain Temple. Can you hear from Chu Mountain Temple, Sarchusinu?
Thank you. This is Francis. It's Masisi.
Oh, Francis. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. It's nice to be here with you again. First of all, I'd like to apologize to you for being late today. It's not due to lacking respect for you. Today, I was preparing to translate some, to finalize or work on some translation of Master Wei Shan's or Ling You's anecdotes. As you can see here, we're very lucky. We have a bunch of translated stuff here that almost ready. So I was continuing to work on them. I worked on them last night until very late in the morning. And so today I was working on them, continue to work on them this afternoon in the US, in California, before class time. And I finished one, I was doing this. Another one was kind of hard for me, so all of a sudden, I was struggling. All of a sudden, I looked again. I realized was time for the class, so I had to run. To class immediately, and so that's why I was 4 or 5 minutes late. I apologize. Okay, couldn't be helped. All right, so let's see. Does anyone have any questions or things they'd like to discuss? I think that's agree on the format for our Chan classes. That is, when I was cultivating, I was practicing on my own. I had a lot of questions, and I asked a lot of questions. But could not find answers from my senior monks that I studied under, with. And so I spent the majority of my Chan self-cultivation in the blind, in the dark. And so after several years, it got to the point where every day was wonderful. Every day it felt so blissful at those times. At that time, I had no disciple, no money, no temple, no car, no computer, nothing whatsoever. Dirt poor, if you will. And yet, every day was so happy. Let me assure you, the entire day, it was so blissful, so happy. And never been that happy before in my entire life. And it was wonderful to the point where it was sort of the norm. Every day was this complete happiness that nothing was lacking, nothing missing at all. No. And so it didn't last very long. It lasted for about a few days, and the bad news came. Master YongHua came to me and he says, "You should teach." And I think I told you about this story a few times already. And my first reaction is, no way, no thank you. My attitude was that I owe no one nothing. So why should I teach? So I refused. I said, no way, no thanks. I'm not going to teach. But typical of his teaching, it bothered me. Because when you go against a teacher's advice, a teacher's order, you feel bad. I don't know about you. I mean, I know most of my disciples, when they go against my wishes, they feel happier. Isn't that right? See what I mean? Now I have disciples, they don't even pay attention when I talk to them. You see? So as you can see, I used to be so much happier, but my Master YongHua came and told me to start teaching, and I resisted the idea for about a week or two, but it bothered me. I said, no way, I don't want to teach. I don't feel like teaching. I'm not looking for anything. Why should I bother? I have everything I need here. But after 2 weeks, I said, well, maybe I should give it a try. If it doesn't work out, I can always fall back to this. What have I got to lose? Okay, so I started teaching, and it turns out that it got worse and worse every day. It didn't get better at all. Every year it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's the story of my life. Okay? So I sort of finally realized that Master YongHua seems to be determined to make my life miserable. Maybe I owe him. Okay? But anyway, so I started teaching. And of course, he just told me to teach. Didn't tell me how to teach or what to teach. So I started by teaching chant meditation. Anyway, so that's how it started. But I was very conscious of my lack of qualifications, of my inexperience and lack of qualifications. So I made it a point not to call myself as a serious student of Master YongHua, because that belongs to his true disciples, the Dharma masters or the monks and nuns whose Dharma names begin with Heng something, there are plenty of them, and there are quite a few of them who are quite talented, quite famous, quite gifted, quite accomplished as well. So I made sure not to usurp their deserved reputation or name as the successors, Dharma successors to Master YongHua and the Wei-Yang lineage. But anyway, I thought maybe if I did that, it's easier for me. Then I only have a few people that I need to teach, and then I'd be done. Once people will realize that I was incompetent, I had nothing to offer, then I go back to my sitting every day and meditate every day. It turns out it got harder and harder every day, and more people came over time, and things got more complicated and more stressful, if you will. That's where we are today. So when I started teaching, I made sure, number one, not to come across or fool people into thinking that I understood Master YongHua's Dharma or I was his Dharma successors at all. And number two, I made it a point to be different in the way that I made sure that you, my students, have plenty of time, have plenty of opportunities to ask questions, so that which I try to answer. And so that's our style. Please remember, you old-timers and newcomers and future students, future participants, feel free to ask questions about anything, anytime, okay? This time is for you, and so that's the nature of our class. And I hope that my students, the people that I asked to start teaching Chan as well, would do the same. That is to allow people to ask questions and be honest about it. If they don't know, they should say that they don't know. And they should come around and ask people who are better than they are, so that we can all learn from their teaching experiences as well. So that's the style of our Chan classes. Of all our Chan classes, please feel free to ask questions. Feel free to speak up. You'll be amazed on the kind of investments we made in electronic equipment, audio, video equipment, to make sure that it's the case. So that every class we have, and a class I have, solicits input from you, from all of us, so that we can truly learn from each other. Okay? And let me assure you, the last 16 years that I've been teaching Chan, I learned a lot from all of you, all your questions. Okay? So please feel free to ask questions, because it's beneficial for me as well. What we all try to do is learn from each other, and what I try to do personally is also not waste your time and my time as well. If I feel that I can no longer help you, I will withdraw or advise you to move on and not waste your time with us at all. Okay, that's a promise to you. Okay, and so far, the only way for all of us to keep it going is for us, including myself, to continue to learn, to improve, so that we can rise to the challenge, rise to the occasion. Okay, and that's what I call life. Life becoming more stressful, becoming more overwhelming, and the only way for all of us to cope with it effectively is to continue to improve. Okay? Endlessly. I remember how life used to be so much simpler, so much more pleasant, but it's not getting that way at all. It's becoming more overwhelming for me and for my disciples. You wouldn't believe that my disciples, how often they would come to me and complain that, Master, this is too much work. I can't handle it. There's a common refrain from all of them, unfortunately. And that's the way it is. That's what I call the nature of life. life is more challenging. If you rise to the challenge, then it makes life more interesting. All right, so feel free to ask questions, please. So any questions today? Okay, no questions. You just sit back and relax, and I will entertain you. Okay, so first of all, the style of our classes, or our Chan classes at all levels, is feel free to ask questions. Okay, there's no such thing as a stupid question unless I say so. Okay. Rule number 2, that is, we're going to do something, we're going to keep on pushing ourselves. I assure you, I get bored fairly easily. Unless I get challenged, I will easily get bored. So this afternoon here, when I was preparing the anecdotes of Master Lingyo and Master Yang Shan, how they taught their disciples, it was difficult for me. I admit to you, it's very difficult. I couldn't understand it. That's why it's very difficult. And so it makes it more challenging for me. So that's why number 2 is that we will talk about their anecdotes. We're very fortunate. We happen to have a treasure of anecdotes from the Wei Shan, Master Wei Shan, and Master Yang Shan, and the founders of our Wei Yang lineage. And so why not delve into it? I think it has been done before, and this is what I intend to do, to get out from under Master YongHua's shadow, that we will contribute ourselves to the American, the new century Chan, if you will, Western Chan. I would call his style of training of Chan is more Chinese, more Asian. Whereas I think we need to transfer that knowledge and translate that knowledge and present it in a way in Western languages that's more appropriate for our times, that's more suitable for our needs. And therefore, I call it American Wei Yang instead of his style. I would call his style, Master YongHua's style of teaching is Chinese Wei Yang, if you will. It's different, if you will. Okay, and the part of our continuing efforts to get out and add more contributions to our cultural heritage here of this new centuries is to study the ancient wisdom from the Chinese and interpret them and explain them using Western languages, namely English and other languages as well. Okay? So that's what we do. We will discuss these anecdotes, and let's be realistic about it. I am the first one to admit to you that I don't quite understand them at all. Okay? But that's the beauty of these anecdotes. You're not supposed to understand them. Okay? So it's about planting the seeds for wisdom. And you see, as you go through these anecdotes, you realize why it's being done. I'm discovering how wonderful these great Chinese Chan masters train their disciples. And it's fascinating to me to see every now and then, as I went through these translations, these anecdotes, how beautiful they went about teaching their disciples. So it's not about understanding again. Sometimes we don't, but it will plant the seeds, and eventually we will. I assure you. Okay, so don't worry about understanding so much. It's about if you get it, you get it right away. If you don't get it, it's okay too. Okay, you will get it eventually. Okay, all right. So that's what we should all expect, is to maybe make this chant class here, raise it up a notch, so that now we challenge ourselves. First of all, I look like a fool trying to discuss things that the great sages taught their disciples. But on the other hand, if we don't, who else would dare do it? Huh? So that's what part of I said, I need to challenge myself, otherwise I get bored. So we do that. We'll discuss these things. It's wonderful because in this class here today, as we have a lot of people who are proficient, much more proficient than I am personally in Chinese, and some people are more erudite, and some people are much better educated, much smarter, wiser, and so forth. So we should all combine efforts to let's all work together and contribute and enhance the learning, the understanding, or share in the treasure of this, what I feel is the quintessential human wisdom, if you will. Okay, this is profound wisdom that we are venturing into this territory here, which is very, very demanding. At the same time, do not feel that it's not useful. Actually, it's very useful, and that's why we want to make sure that we address your questions, your concerns first, okay, as we go along. Go ahead, Doug.
Hello. This is a life question for me. I started learning, being touched by spiritual questions in the 60s when I was in university, and I learned meditation, and then I became interested in another practice of Gurdjieff, and in 1973, and then
practice of what? Excuse me. Practice of what?
A man named Gurdjieff, who was
Gurdjieff is what?
Gurdjieff. I don't know how you say it. Anyway,
I'm not sure. I know that.
That's okay. I was very interested in, evolution of what is my possibility here in my life, but what gradually changed is I became profoundly affected by creation, by nature, and the force of nature and the beauty of nature. And I went from wanting to perfect myself, or to be something, or to be enlightened, if you like. It became less important to me, and I became more and more just emotionally interested or attached to being useful to nature, or great nature.
All right.
And it seemed to me that it was not a decision, more of a profound realization that our time here, our closest relationship to the Creator, or to is through his or her, is through appreciation of her creation. And so this changed about, I guess, about 20 years ago. And I became more and more affected by and wanting to help what feels to me like the destruction of our planet and of nature, and that our job one here is to take care of the place and to love what we are given here. And but I've come to a point in my life now where I do what I can, I keep trying, but it seems to me the destruction of nature, the destruction of life and diversity is so profound that I guess I feel helpless in my life. I mean, I try to do what I can, but you know, it's like a little scratch on a large surface. Maybe it seems. I mean, I'm still going to continue, but there's a very deep sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Or cry, you know, I feel, you know, like to hear the pain or feel the cry of the world seems like such a. I guess maybe it helps the world to be able to hear that. I don't know, but I thought I would ask. It seems this is the status of my life right now. I mean, I have a retired, but. You know, a very happy life, I would say, materially, but I don't know how I can reach any further. I feel helpless in what matters most to me.
Okay.
And so that's my question.
Your question is what again? It's a long statement you made there.
Yeah,
what is
sorry
your question?
about that. Well, my question is, how can I get beyond this feeling of helplessness?
Okay.
In the light of the destruction of life, as I see it.
Right.
Or a lot of it.
Your concerns are not that much different from the rest of us. Okay, we share the common concern for being useful, for being able to help when we can, for contributing to society, if you will. So it's in a way it's called the search for positive contributions to society, if you will. Okay, and invariably we all run into this thing called personal limitations. There's so much we can do. There's so much time that we have to do it, and we're limited by our abilities as well. So, as far as Chan school is concerned, we can help. We try to help by number one, personal growth. If you want to help, you need to first, practically speaking, become stronger so that we can carry others on our shoulders and our back. To help really involves carrying people on your back, shouldering the burden. Okay, that's practical from a practical perspective. You can talk all you want, but to help someone really we have to exert ourselves to do that. And therefore, in a Chan thing, in a Chan school, in a Chan world, we try to become stronger spiritually. Strength has a mental component where the mind becomes stronger. And from the mind becoming stronger, the body becomes stronger as well. Okay? So that's what enables us to do. Number one, to become stronger, to carry a heavier load. All right? And it has been coupled with the fact that we should also have the wisdom to choose which problems we're going to tackle. Because remember, we're limited. We have limitations. And therefore, for the best use of our time, our efforts, is to judiciously choose what to engage ourselves, where to apply our efforts. And that's all in the realm of the Chan practice. The Chan practice is, instead of doing what worldly people do, they look outside and look at how the environment is deteriorating, there's war, there's so much pain and suffering, okay? And that's endless. It's discouraging. It breaks your heart. With the recent event in Eastern Europe, it really affected a few of my disciples, and they're very distraught about it. All right? We all are affected by that. We all feel bad about it. Okay, many people in the world, most people in the world are upset about it. All right? And so that's normal. And what we do, here's a tip in terms of facing those types of challenges of the world, of the outside world, is that the Buddhist wisdom, the Chan wisdom, is that you want to really understand the external problems, problems from the outside. Actually, the best way to understand the problems, the external problems, is to look inside yourself. Let me tell you a secret. Okay, everything that happens outside of us, outside our mind, is actually connected to our mind. Okay? So that's why instead of looking outside, like measuring like the scientists do, or analyzing like the psychotherapists do, okay, others, we analyze our mind. We examine ourselves. We fix our inadequacies. We make ourselves stronger so that in a very humble and practical way, we're able to help increasingly more and more and more. We start first by helping ourselves, by becoming healthier, becoming stronger. And then that will rub off on the people closer to us. And it expands. Their circle gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And if every one of us does that, then we have what the Chan school thinks of as concentric circles, points of influence, pillars of society, you will, where we expand our personal sphere of influence to do good, to contribute more to society. So it's fairly practical, it's fairly reasonable, fairly realistic, it's doable. Because if you look at the problem of the world by itself, you look at that way, you feel powerless, you feel it's impossible to do much. And it's true. And what we can do is create a network of people. You in Canada and others in other parts of the world, we become a sphere, our sphere influence, and influence ourselves and the people close to us to form a network of doing gooders, if you will. Okay? And that's how we begin the change. And that will slow down our personal decays, our personal desperations, and begin to slow down and reverse the decay and the degradation. So we are doing something about it instead of feeling powerless and give up. Okay, so in short, the answer is when you practice Chan, you are making a difference in your small world right there. And it keeps growing and growing and growing. I started 16 years ago by practicing Chan by myself. My small room, I'm perfectly happy. And then my teacher told me, you should teach. So I taught one person, because he wanted to, he's 70, at the time he was 74, and he was curious about it. And so I taught him for 2 hours, and at the end of 2 hours of teaching Chan, one-to-one, he stood up and gave me $10. Okay, and he came back following week, and he brought another friend. He said, this is my buddy here. I like her to learn about Chan as well. So you see, it grew and grew and grew. That's what happens. That's all we have to offer. What do you think?
Well, I think that's right. And in fact, we can't know everything. We just have to keep working on our circle that we can see.
Yeah, I feel that a lot of people benefited greatly from Chan for themselves, and it expanded to their children, to their spouses, to their parents, and so forth, in very, very concrete ways. Okay, and eventually, I hope that there are more people who will develop true wisdom and great strength. They will engage more in becoming a CEO of a company, or a inventor, or whatever, politician, president, king, vice president, minister, and so forth. Okay, to make a difference. And that's possible. Master YongHua saw it already.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Anyone else? So one step at a time. We don't talk big. We set a goal that's very big, but we gradually and relentlessly go towards it. That's Chan right there. Okay? We monitor our progress, and we demand ourselves, a lot for ourselves. Yes?
Master, there's a question from Korea. The question is, you said your disciples complain that there's a lot of work. There's someone who just visited Way Mountain Temple, and this person said, Sinims venerables in U.S. works so much, and they felt so sorry for them. I heard from your Dharma talk that there's no discrimination between lay people versus left on people. However, she read it from somewhere. However, from your I guess from the Dharma talk, but it was written. However, you are so kind and compassionate for the lay persons. You said sit for 10 minutes and increase incrementally 2 minutes. So my question is, as a lay person, just sitting for 1 hour at 5 p.m., what will get after this? Do you think that, would you please tell me what would be the ideal day for a good lay person to do? What would you think the most ideal lay persons would be?
Ideal layperson? Oh, the ideal layperson is a person who will continue to grow. We are capable of infinite growth if we set our minds to it. The Chan Dharma that we're sharing with you has a certain teaching part where you can unfold your wisdom and unleash your potential, your incredible potential, your incredible strength with this particular Dharma. That's why this is does not discriminate whether you're a left-form person or a lay person. We all have equal share to this Dharma. Okay. So it's about, never mind about what's the ideal person. I'm not sure what the ideal person is because I don't have such wisdom. I'm not an ideal person myself. Yes?
I'm sorry, Master, I need to correct the part. This person asked, what would be an ideal day as a lay person?
Ideal day to do what?
As a just lay practitioner, lay person, as a cultivator, what would be the ideal day? What do you expect?
It will be different for each of you. We recommend that you meditate an hour a day as maintenance. You sit and train yourself to sit in full lotus for an hour every day, regularly. That's your maintenance. You need to take care of because that 1 hour sit there will be a maintenance program for you, for your physical well-being as well as your mental well-being. That's important. That's fundamental to our existence. Our life is that we need to have maintenance. We bring our car in for checkup and maintenance regularly, and yet we neglect our lives. I give you a funny example. I've been doing this for over 25 years, close to 30 years. And I thought, erroneously thought that Chan will give me everything. Where it turns out, I found out recently that I also need to exercise physically. Otherwise, your muscles will atrophy. Okay, so it extends to me as well, not just you lay people, but for us as well. Monks and nuns, we also need to exercise, do physical exercise, and maintain our physical strength as well through exercises, physical exercises as well. So you see, it's very important for us to have a maintenance program. That's why we strongly urge you to meditate an hour a day and get into full lotus. Challenge yourself to sit in full lotus and sit for an hour a day in full lotus. All right? And then if you have time, listen to the Dharma talks. That's very important, trust me. Because Chan is not about about physical strength, about mental strength. Chan is about your wisdom, the growth of your mind, the unleashing of your mind that has been conditioned by society, by circumstances, and only you can unleash it. Okay, and that's why Chan will. The goal of Chan is to help you reach into that inner strength, that inner wisdom that you have by looking inside. This is something that most people in the world don't understand. Okay, is that your strength, okay, is from the inside. Your wisdom is inherent, it's there already. You just don't know how to access it. Okay, so the challenge is to plant the seeds of wisdom. So you need to listen to the Dharma. Listen as I'm not talking about like Master Shena who advocates that you should memorize things. My attitude, I'm a lot lazier. I just want to listen. That's all. It goes one ear, it goes out the other. I'm perfectly happy with that. But you know, there's a magic. When you listen to the words of the sages, you listen to insights of these incredibly wise people. The geniuses of the geniuses, if you will. Okay? And they go beyond your imagination, your ability to understand. And so you need to plant. That happens because you plant the seeds of wisdom here. Okay? So that's why, even though you hear in one ear, it enters one ear and goes out the other, the seeds are still planted in your consciousness. And eventually in time, through your regular practice every day of sitting and listening to the Dharma and number 3, doing good, help. Every day, help a little bit more. Make a difference to someone else's lives. Okay? That's your personal growth. Your growth is by helping, learning how to help others, and committing to help others. Okay? And finally, it's also a commitment to grow. There is a direction where we all are. I'm growing. I'm committed to growth. I want to continue to improve, to continue to open my wisdom, to continue to increase my strength, so that I can do more, so that I can help more, so that my life would have not been in vain. Okay, and that's why the growth, that personal growth there, ideally you should also be humble in that there's this magic thing here called Weiyang training that I was exposed to. We've been using for the last 16 years, and it seems to work. And it's not something that lay people like you would understand. Actually, most of my left form disciples don't get it. It's not supposed to be something they can get. Okay, but if you stick to the this training schedule here, you should make time to come to the temple. And if you will, maybe instead of going on vacation, take a weekend or 3-day weekend, go to the temple, and we will have a place for you to stay. You can meditate, and you can unburden yourself with worldly concerns and concentrate on your purifying your mind and pacify your mind, and that's how you can grow. This is a secret. In order to grow, don't be so sure of yourself. We all are getting a lot of help from plenty of people, a lot more than you think. Okay? And the reality of it is that I too need help. There are plenty of people who are much wiser, much stronger than me, who actually have been helping me. That's the truth. And that's why we make this, to create this temple, this environment where you can go there and you will be protected. You'll be taken care of. And all you have to do is to be there and drop your worldly worries and just stay there for some time. And it will change you. Makes you feel better about yourself, about your life, and help you better cope with your problems, with your challenges. Okay? So this applies to not only lay people, but also left home people. You need help. We all need help. And there's nothing wrong with recognizing that and taking advantage of the system that these Chinese patriarchs have created and have worked for centuries. What I learned is from a Chinese system where Great Master Bodhidharma brought from India to China, and they refined it over the years. And now it's here available, and in our 21st century, take advantage of it. Okay? All right. Anyone else has any other suggestions? Okay, more questions. Honestly, let me tell you, okay? In order for me to help you, you don't know what I'm doing. If you know what I'm doing, I cannot help you. Why is that? It's because I'm helping you overcome your ego. If your ego knows what I'm up to, it will fight me. That's why this is a Chan secret. Okay? Wisdom is about learning how to help you in spite of your ego. The ego, part of the ego says, I understand, I must understand, I must agree. Okay? Someday you understand what I mean. Go ahead, questions.
입지님 질문하셔도 돼요.
네, 감사합니다. 대비참 애불집에 보면 관세음보살께서 대비신주를 외우고 수제하는 중생이 한량없는 삼매와 변제를 얻지 못한다면 저는 맹세코 청각을 이루지 않겠습니다 하는 부분이 있는데 거기에서 삼매는 알아듣겠는데 변제는 어떤 뜻인지 조금 설명을 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. 엘로퀀스라는 게 말을 잘한다는 단순한 뜻이 아닌 것 같은데요. 지혜를 뜻하는 것인지 궁금합니다.
입지님, 아까 전에 인용하셨던 분을 인용하셨던 부분 다시 한번 설명해 달라고 세라님이 말씀하셨거든요.
아,
혹시 영어로
그게
할 줄 아세요? 영어로 말씀하실 수 있으면은.
영어로 그 부분이 어떤 거냐면 if any living being who recites and upholds the spiritual mantra of great compassion should not attain immeasurable samadhis and eloquence, I vow not to attain the proper enlightenment. 그 제목이에요.
She cannot hear you.
근데 거기에 eloquence라는 단어가 나왔나요, 입지님?
네네. 변제라는 게 eloquence라고 그러니까 설득력 있게 말을 잘한다는 뜻인 것 같은데 그게 어떤
네, 알겠습니다. Master, did you hear the English part? That section is from Great Compassion Mantra book.
Yes.
Okay, so she mentioned about she understand most likely that the part that it says immeasurable samadhi, but she has a question about that eloquence.
Yes.
What does this mean? Eloquence, is this person is good at language or something like that, or what does that mean?
Eloquence here has, in Buddhism, there are 4 kinds of eloquences. And we went over that recently in the Avatamsaka Sutra lectures. I don't remember, could be tonight's lecture later, or Sunday's here lecture on the chapter 1. I don't remember anymore which part it is. But the 4 kind of eloquences that pertains to your wisdom and your being able to understand the Dharma, and that's why you are able to explain the Dharma in a way that is beyond the written words. You're able to use words that are eloquent to make your case. You are able to generate delight in the listeners. So the 4 types of eloquences that you will develop, the 4 classes of eloquences you develop. So by reciting this Great Compassion mantra, you are planting the seeds for developing those eloquences. So for example, for us as professional monks and nuns, we have such aspirations. That is, we'd love to develop eloquences in order to speak the Dharma, speak the Buddha Dharma. So that requires understanding of what the Dharma is. It requires being able to use the proper languages, the proper semantics to express ourselves. And also, finally, number 4 is to express in a way that's delightful for you to hear, so that you enjoy it and you find it not a waste of your time. So those are the eloquences that you will naturally develop by practicing the Great Compassion mantra. And that's not just for the Dharma, but also it applies to you as well in your daily life. You'll be able to have wisdom to express yourself better, to be more persuasive, okay, in a constructive way. Because all this Great Compassion mantra is designed for us to do good, help us do good, more good. And if you stay on that side where you improve yourself, you grow personally in order to be able to do more good, your eloquence will grow and grow and grow and grow. On the other hand, let me warn you, if you develop a certain level of eloquence on the good side and then you decide to go on the bad side, the negative side of the track and serve yourself, you stop growing. Actually, you stop growing and you start regressing. So that's why, tip for you, the growth path that we are on together Okay, it's about doing more good, not that will help us continue to grow and grow and grow and grow, so that we can do even more good than before. Growth is in order for us to do more good, to make more of a difference for society. So that's why we don't discriminate between left-form people and lay people. We all are the same team. We all are trying to do good. The differentiation is that the time that you can invest in it. For left-form people, it's a different environment where my monks and nuns, they have 24 hours a day that they can be trained, whereas you are different. You lay people are different. We only have so much time that we can reach you. And you only have so much time you can do because of your worldly commitments, your family commitments, your professional commitments. And therefore, we need to make best use of those times. Help you optimize the use of those times. That's all. But otherwise, we're the same. We both are trying to improve so that we can do more good. More and more good. Okay, any other questions? Yes, go ahead. Korea. No more questions? Okay, great. Time is up anyway. Thank you all. It seems like, don't worry, we get to these anecdotes. They're fascinating to me. The anecdotes when we can. Okay, there are plenty of them, if you will. So we'll be busy for quite a while. Thank you. We see you next time.